Hello and welcome to sentence diagramming exercise number 13. Diagramming compound sentences. So far you've learned how to use conjunctions to join together things that go on diagonal lines and things that go on horizontal lines, and in this lesson you'll work on joining together clauses, groups of words that contain a subject and a predicate, independent clauses in particular, groups of words that contain a subject and a predicate and could each be a sentence by themselves, into compound sentences. So here's the warm-up. The first sentence is Jamie had eggs for breakfast, comma, and Susan had grits. If you're not from the South, grits are like oatmeal but made with cornmeal. Number 2, or letter B, basketball ran late, so I didn't get home until 8 p.m. I hope that you did the warm-up before looking at this. I also hope that this seems fairly straightforward. Moving on, number 1, when joining together two sentences with a coordinating junction, when joining together two sentences with a coordinating conjunction, aka a fanboy's word, which parts of the two sentences are connected by the dotted lines? It's the predicates. I hope you can see that. There's and connects had with had in the first sentence. So connects ran with did get in the second. Where does one write the coordinating conjunction? This is a little complicated to describe, but easy to see on a short horizontal line, between the dotted vertical lines that connect the predicates. Yes. And number 3, this is as easy as, for me it's as easy as cake. I prefer cake to pie. You may feel differently. Let's move on and do practice sentences. The directions are still the same. Label the parts of each sentence above the appropriate words, label the part of speech below each word, and diagram each sentence. There are only 2 sentences here. The diagrams are going to start taking up more room, and the warm-up was long, so there are only 2 sentences. Let's do one together, and let's see if you can do the second one on your own. So the first step is to parenthesize prepositional phrases. Why don't you pause the video while you do that? Okay, I hope you spotted the one prepositional phrase here. The next thing to do is to identify the subject and the predicate. Now there's going to be 2 subjects and 2 predicates because we've got a compound sentence going on here. So pause the video, find one subject and predicate, then find the other subject and predicate. Pause the video. All right, I hope you got Derek Rose and lost as the first subject and predicate, and he and missed as the second subject and predicate. Remember that these are compound sentences. They could each be 2 sentences. Derek Rose lost his concentration for a moment. That could be a sentence by itself. He missed an easy layup. That could be a sentence by itself. They're joined together by a coordinating conjunction, working with a comma, and that shows us the relationship between the 2 of them. One of them, the first one, is the cause of the second. So indicates a cause and effect relationship. Okay, the next thing. Ask yourself the question, what? Derek Rose lost what? Concentration. He missed what? An easy layup. I hope you can tell that lost and missed are both action verbs, which means that concentration and layup must both be direct objects. How bright you are. The next question to ask ourselves is whether the sentences or clauses have indirect objects, and in this case the answer is no. All right, time to label all the parts of speech. Hey, you should pause the video. If you haven't paused the video yet to do the parts of speech, you should pause it now and do the parts of speech. Okay, I hope that this is what you got. Derek Rose is a noun, lost is a verb, his is an adjective, it's a possessive pronoun, Concentration is a noun, for is a preposition, a is an article, moment is a noun, so is a conjunction, he is a noun, missed is a verb, and is an article, easy is an adjective, and layup is a noun. And if you want to be specific, you can say that so is a coordinating conjunction. Eventually you'll learn about subordinating conjunctions too. Okay, now for the diagram. It's very, very important that you just take one clause at a time. In fact, if we wanted to, we could have just dealt with this clause first, and then done the so, and then dealt with this clause. And when these sentences get really complicated, you might want to do that. Just take it one clause at a time. Okay, let's set up the main line for the first clause. Pause the video while you do that. Okay, I hope this is what you got. Derek Rose is the subject, lost is the predicate, concentration is the direct object. When or how did he lose it? Just for a moment, but that was enough. And now we're going to diagram the conjunction. Pause for a second, follow the model from the previous sentences. All right, I hope you did something like this. A vertical dotted line, a short horizontal line, another vertical dotted line. This will connect the predicates, and so why don't you diagram yourself the main line of the second clause in this compound sentence. Go for it. Pause the video. Okay, so he is the subject, missed is the predicate, layup is the direct object, and an easy are an article and an adjective respectively describing layup. Each of these, the thing that I want you to see is that these clauses right now are pretty straightforward and simple, because the thing that I want you focused on is connecting them at the predicate with the coordinating conjunction. By the way, if you ran out of room, it's perfectly fine to do something like this. It's pretty important that the dotted line go up and down when it comes down into the predicate, but if you need to do something like this to make yourself space to fit the second clause, that's fine. The important thing is that you're connecting the predicates, because, as you see, best friends are joined at the hip, and booze are joined at the lip, but compound sentences are joined at the predicate. If you say it the right way, it almost rhymes, and that's a way to help remember. Okay, please pause the video while you do the second sentence. I would strongly advise you to do the first thing, to be like, hey, I used to be a resident of Wisconsin, but my sister and her spouse live in Seattle. One thing you might want to do is find the coordinating conjunction. If you abbreviate that CC, that's a good move. And now you can treat the two clauses separately, which is what you'll see me do when we go over this. But why don't you do your best right now, and pause the video, and then we'll go over it. Oh, hey, used to be is one verb, in case you didn't figure that out. All right, pause the video for real now. All right, I hope you're done, and I hope you paused it to try to do it yourself, and I hope you remembered how to do compound subjects, because we're about to go over this. I used to be a resident of Wisconsin, but my sister and her spouse live in Seattle. I'm going to talk us through the first clause first, and then the second one. So I used to be a resident of Wisconsin. There is a prepositional phrase there. My bad for not parenthesizing that. I is the subject, used to be is the predicate, resident is the predicate nominative. I is a noun, used to be is a verb, is an article, resident is a noun, of is a preposition, Wisconsin is a noun. I, subject, used to be, predicate, used to be what? Resident. Used to be is a linking verb, predicate nominative. What kind of a resident? A resident of Wisconsin. There's the parts of sentence, the parts of speech, and the diagram for the first clause. Notice that it's a lot simpler when we just do one clause at a time. Okay, then we set ourselves up with a but, coordinating conjunction. In the second clause, but my sister and her spouse live in Seattle. There's a compound subject here. Sister and spouse are both the subject. Live is a predicate. There's no direct object or predicate adjective or predicate nominative. My is a possessive adjective, sister is a noun, and is a coordinating conjunction. Her is a possessive adjective, is a possessive pronoun that acts as an adjective. Spouse is a noun, live is a verb. In Seattle, a preposition and a noun, which I neglected to put in parentheses. And here's the second diagram, the second part of the diagram. But remember, connect the predicates. My on a lazy L because it's a possessive, sister, and her on a lazy L because it's possessive, spouse, they both together live. How do they live? In Seattle. I hope you didn't forget how to do compound sentences. I hope this seems fairly straightforward. I wish you much success on the independent practice on the reverse side. Thank you very much.